Namaste dosto. Welcome to Live Your Dreams, where we explore the journeys of inspiring leaders who turn vision into reality with purpose, resilience, and heart. Today we are honored to have with us Mr. Raghavan N, President at Lucas Indian Service Ltd, a name synonymous with leadership excellence, integrity, and innovation. With decades of experience driving growth and transformation in the automotive industry, Mr. Raghavan's journey is not just about professional success, it's about leading with values, empowering people, and build a culture that thrives on trust and vision. In this conversation, we will explore his leadership philosophy, the lessons he learned along the way, and how staying true to one's purpose can shape both career and character. So, join us as we dive into the story of a leader who reminds us that success is not just about reaching the top, it's about lifting others as you rise. So, very warm welcome to our channel, sir. Sir, could you share your journey from your early days to becoming the president of Lucas Indian Service and what motivated you to pursue this path?
Good evening. Thank you, Vartika. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure talking to you through this medium, and it is always a pleasure interacting with you as well. Well, I am not sure whether I have arrived in the sense because it's a continuing journey and I'm continuing to evolve. So it started with I was born in a place called Tirunelveli, which is about 700 kilometers south of Chennai and 80 kilometers north of Kanyakumari, somewhere in deep south Tamil Nadu. Uh, it's a semi-rural background, and I was born in the year 1966. India was very young, 19 years into independence, and there were scarcity everywhere. Okay, there were I think in 1970s we had experienced the oil shock. The world had experienced the oil shock. The oil prices went up, and the economies were reeling. Even the rice prices went up substantially. There were ration levy and things like that. So we knew what scarcity was. And I was born in a lower middle class family. My father was working for LIC, look, the Life Insurance Corporation of India, as a clerk.
Okay.
Okay, and we were a joint family for quite some time, so that shaped my kind of thinking as well as my motivation, so to say. Two things. One is, even though there were scarcity, there were I could see all around me in my family was a lot of generosity. People who had less than us, we never hesitated to share what we had. I mean, we didn't have much, but we still had whatever we had. We whatever we could, we shared, and all were welcome, irrespective of whatever level they belong, whatever caste, color, creed, religion they belong. People were welcome. When we were having meals, whoever were around were welcome to join us. So we grew up in an environment where on one side you see scarcity, on one side you see generosity. And my father could not pursue his degree due to his family background, and he had to, uh, after his PUC, that is pre-university, he had to discontinue and join the workforce. So his dream was I should become a graduate, at least a graduate. And I had absolutely no clue as to what I would become at that point in time, though my father had a vision that I should become a doctor. And maybe I was a little bit rebellious, and therefore, since he wanted me to become a doctor, I didn't want to become a doctor. So I did well academically, okay, and naturally, I had some inclination for maths, physics, and sciences in general, including biology. So did well, and I could get my admission into engineering. So for engineering, I came to Chennai. Though I had scored well in English as a subject, I was a little bit hesitant to speak in English fluently coming from a rural background. So that was my first motivation to get out and start speaking to people, strangers, and things like that. That led to opportunity to meet a whole lot of people, seniors and outsiders, and then I could see that there was much more to the world than what I had seen so far. So then I said, okay, the immediate motivation was as soon as I finish my college, maybe I'll go and work in some faraway place in India. I mean, it's not about going abroad or someplace, faraway place in India. Through
So
campus
basically,
interview,
So basically, your father was the one who laid this basic foundation of your life because he was able to see, foresee, or he had that sort of broader vision at that time about importance of education because he could not pursue whatever he wanted to due to some, family
my father
responsibilities.
and my maternal grandfather, because
Okay.
the maternal grandfather, my both grandparents were, both sides were freedom fighters, and we had a whole lot of freedom fighters in
Oh,
the family. And many of them had decided not to get any pension or government support after independence, and they wanted to be on their own. And their philosophy was we did not participate in the freedom struggle to get a pension. Okay, so therefore, we are not going to get any subsidy or assistance or anything. So everybody started from scratch. So that was a motivation. So this is something like my father definitely on the education side, a lot of sacrifices he did. He avoided taking transfers so that there was a continuity of education, which prevented his promotions and things like that, which he was not bothered about. And the grandfather was a constant source of inspiration in terms of treating people well equally, with respect and things like that. So I was fortunate to have elders who were really role models, so to say.
for your strong foundation in life, not just education, but as you mentioned, the generosity which you got downloaded from your family, it shaped you as a human, as a better human as well.
Right.
Very nice. So, if I talk about this initial days and the journey which you led and the place we have reached today, there might be n number of challenges. If somebody says that they have never faced any challenges in life, that's a white lie. Everybody of us, even anyone who is not from who is from a different background, they also face challenges in their life. And so every leader also faces challenges in life. So what were some defining challenges in your career and how did you turn them into opportunities for growth?
Well, the challenges to begin with, as I told you, I had to become fluent in spoken English, and I had to start practicing speaking to people coming from a rural area. I mean, I was very gawky, and it's like a typical, so what they say, the village bumpkin kind of a character. So I had to kind of coming to a city, you felt a little inferior to begin with. I fought that, and then I mingled, and that was the first challenge. So the only way to overcome was like there is a famous ad nowadays about some energy drink, "Dar ke aage jeet hai." So I just went through that. Okay, I mean, what is there? I mean, if somebody I go talk to the people and they don't talk back to me, it's okay. I'll try somebody else. So that's how. And the process, I earned a whole lot of acquaintances, friends in the college. I was a very shy, kind of an introverted kind of a kid while I was growing up in school, very bookish, reading all the time. And of course, I used to play some field hockey in school. So that again shaped because it's a very tough sport. And we didn't have all the equipment in the world, and it was a clay field. Okay, if you fall, you have a hard fall, and so bruises and blood and things like that. So and you keep running, try to either score a goal or prevent somebody else from scoring a goal, etc. So the foot gets hit with a hockey stick pretty often. So that was a tough sport that shaped me as well. The other
I think
challenge
I,
was
I think those days those many amenities were also not available. Definitely
absolutely.
at that place, yeah, because playing in a clay field it itself is challenging.
Absolutely, and we had all the old equipment. I mean, it's not a sport which had a very many sponsors those days, and artificial turfs were unheard of, and we didn't have even proper footwear to. Many a times I've played hockey barefoot. Okay, even at a school championship level. So, so those were the days. So that kind of toughened us, both in terms of our mental toughness as well as a little bit of physical toughness. And the other challenges in college, I didn't have much of a challenge in terms of education or academics are concerned. And luckily, I mean, I think thank God for that. I don't know how much of that I can take credit for, but born with some talent, so could use it. I didn't waste it. I didn't, got distracted by anything else. So I could finish with some good grades and stuff like that. And then my work journey, I started in a place where that I had no clue of. I couldn't speak a word in Hindi in those days. Okay, now you have heard me speaking in Hindi. Now you may not even believe that I didn't know Hindi. Okay, so the that challenge was overcome during college days. I had a lot of North Indian friends. I mean, some of them are now in the US. Rajiv Thakur, who used to make a point to speak to me in Hindi, and there was another Ashok Kumar Tiwari. He used to make a point to speak to me in Hindi. So, kind of, I was forced to learn Hindi, and that was really helpful. And these guys had come from the heartland of Hindi, so I learned real Shuddh Hindi.
I'm
And
just imagining how amazing it would have been, those guys teaching you and pushing you to
They
speak it.
didn't. I mean, so when I started speaking to them, then I started learning Hindi from my own father. Okay, from
Oh,
alphabet. He was a Hindi teacher himself. Okay, he
oh,
used to teach Hindi as a kind of a part-time profession for himself. So I learned grammar, etc. And I was a student of Sanskrit, so he's learning grammar was not a very difficult thing, and not Sanskrit taught in school. Privately, I was learning Sanskrit, so that was easy. The real spoken Hindi I learned by watching movies and the serials in those days in Doordarshan, which used to come starting from Hum Log, Bunyad, then Nukkad, Khandan, Karamchand. Okay, I can I can tell you the names of
all of them. Yeah,
all
all
the
of them are
serials.
favorites. Yeah.
Yeah,
In fact, Hum Log was a serial which I even used to wait to watch. That time we had DD National.
yeah. Only DD. There was only one channel. There was Doordarshan,
Yes.
and we didn't even have the second channel, so we used to wait and watch, because for me it was like a spoken in the class. Okay, so when you are learning things in context, you don't have a accompanying textbook or a workbook to work with, so you need to remember and then use the words in context and learn. That was fun. It was a little hard way to learn, but that stuck with me.
I can clearly visualize how you turned your challenge into your opportunity for growth. Here itself. See, there was one challenge of Hindi, and you turned that serial itself, watching serials and watching movies itself, a opportunity for your growth. So amazing.
Absolutely.
So you might have come across lot of stages in your career because it has been a long journey for you, and there might be some sort of leadership principles which you have built or values which you have built over time. Like we have certain set of uh, just I would say just values when we enter into a job, not because not that much of exposure we have, and as we extend, as we move forward in our journey, we develop some core leadership principles or values which might have guided you through your professional journey. Would you like to share? Would you like to put some light on those core leadership principles or
Sure.
values?
Sure. I mean, all of us start as individual contributors. That is, we are asked to do something and we are given a set of instructions to follow, and we produce outcomes, results, whatever that is supposed to be. And to that extent, I had some excellent bosses. Okay. And excellent in the sense that they number one, gauged that whether I'm capable of doing a job or not. And then they broadly, not they didn't give a step-by-step instruction, they gave a kind of a broad instruction, and they allowed me some freedom to do it. And when I finished something successfully, when I came back declaring that I've done it successfully, they would ask me to explain how I did it. So that kind of reinforced my learning. So the first value that got inculcated was if I have to be successful, I need somebody else's support. Okay, so and I need to seek help. Okay, I can't be very arrogant about I know everything, so I can do whatever I want to do. So if I don't know something, you need to walk up to somebody and say that I'm sorry, I don't know. Can you please tell me how do I really do that? So that is one aspect of it. And there were other bosses who would, the drop of the hat would say that, okay, now you are in projects. Would you like to try your hand in production? Okay, fine. I never said no to any opportunity that came my way. And so then when I asked the question, when do I do that? Why don't you start now, right now? Okay. And okay, within the same premises, moving from one division to another was a slightly easier task. And I still remember in a particular conversation with Mr. Kannan, who was a boss in one of my first job. He put his hand around my shoulder during lunch and said that there is an opportunity to go and work in Hyderabad. So would you like to try that? I said, fine, I don't have a problem. Okay, so when do I do? As soon as you were able to get a train ticket. So, so it was like I was constantly getting the opportunity to get myself thrown into the deeper end of whatever it was. And that, I mean, it's like learning to swim by jumping into the deep end without knowing how to swim formally. So that also shaped my thing. So the value that I realized was at that time I couldn't probably verbalize it fully. Try, you may fail, but not trying will not help you. So that's how some skills were acquired. Otherwise, I wouldn't have. Because in my 7 years with that company, I started with projects.
Okay.
I had done I had done production maintenance. Then I had managed stores. I had done a bit of a purchasing activity. Then have done a fair amount of hiring factory workers, giving them trade tests and interviews and things like that. And then sales, marketing. So it was a kind of a all-round exposure and in different geographies and different product groups, etc. Was kind of it was for me. It was a practical 7-year MBA, the first job. So a lot of things which later when I did my MBA, I was able to connect. But those were very enriching experience. So number one, never say no to an opportunity. You never know. You may succeed. Rather than being afraid of, oh, I may fail. I may succeed, so let me try. If you fail, try again. Okay, so the second, you can't be good at anything without the help of others. So seek help where you need it. Third, once you reach from an independent contributor, you become at least there is one person to manage. You have to realize that you're grown at least to this level only because somebody helped you. So whoever is working for you, start helping. Okay. So that brings the people management aspect of it. So because the moment you start thinking that I'm not managing that person, I'm actually helping that person so that we both together are able to do something. I realize that people are willing to work with. I mean, and, I must tell you this, I'm not a very easy person to work with even today. I'm a very tough taskmaster, and then sometimes I fly off my handle. I get angry when with certain things. Okay, so when I shout, I really shout. Okay, so it's not that I'm some kind of a devta all along. Okay, there is a lot of devil as well.
We have our own boundaries when we talk about professional lives. We have our own boundaries. We have timelines. We have to deliver. So that
Yeah.
sort of thing is part and parcel of job only. You can't be always in same mode. Sometimes you have to uh, you have to push people to get things done because we have some certain timelines which we have committed. So that's fair
Absolutely.
enough.
Absolutely.
So, if we talk about little bit around Lucas now, like all of us know that Lucas Indian Service has been a trusted name for decades. And how do you see innovation and technology reshaping the Indian automotive and aftermarket service sector?
Well, Indian automotive industry is, I could probably say it is at crossroads. It's an understatement because the powertrain technologies are changing quite rapidly. There is electrification in some segments of mobility. That is two-wheeler, three-wheeler are getting more rapidly into electric mobility. And electric mobility also has its own other unnecessary side effects. You have a whole lot of cheaper EVs which are not getting serviced, and then that is getting, the junk is piling up in some areas, and the battery fires, luckily they have come down now. So the technology is in transition. I am seeing it as both an opportunity as a threat. So the opportunity is sustainability is here to stay. It is not a flash in the pan. So some alternate mobility, whether it is electric mobility with battery kind of a powertrain, or hydrogen, or whatever else that will become commercially viable, the time will tell. But definitely the number of spare parts in the vehicle are coming down. The electronics in the vehicle is increasing. Diagnosing a problem is no longer just a pure electrical or mechanical kind of a siloed kind of an approach. So the mechanics and technicians, the service technicians have a lot to learn in a very short time. So as I see, the ecosystem comprises of a large population of people who are in the informal sector, both in the spare parts retail trade as well as in the mechanic service side. So this is one area for many companies to look at it in a very human way and say that how are we going to carry most of the people along, and how are we going to reskill, retrain these people so that whatever technological changes that are coming in,
Very important.
that these people are able to manage them as well, so that their livelihood is not affected. We are a country of 150 crores, and we can't afford to have some very tiny population, developing faster into ultra rich, and the vast majority of the population is nowhere to go. That's not a real development. So for the inclusive development, especially in automotive sector to happen, the skill gap that needs to be addressed, the opportunities need to be created. So there is a lot of things to do. The innovation will play a role in reaching out to so many people and then making them upgraded and things like that. So I think many companies are working. We are also working. Lucas Indian Services will be completing 100 years in 2030. We were founded in 1930 by Joseph Lucas, who came from UK. This company became part of the TVS group in the late 40s. And we are now part of the Lucas TVS group. And when we reach 100, we should be a socially responsible company which participates in the well-being and growth of the larger ecosystem. So in this connection, from last year, we are working on something called LIS Unnati, which is
Hmm.
aimed at reskilling and upskilling the mechanics, especially from the informal sector. And we would, going ahead, not only the product innovation or innovation in approaching them, maybe a whole lot of digital training, remote training, and then some diagnostics using maybe AR, VR kind of technologies as we go forward. All those things are more likely to happen.
Very nice, very nice. I just love this name, Unnati. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
very
that's about, I mean, after a lot of thinking through, we came out with this name. A lot of names were suggested, and then finally we said Unnati. This, to me, more than the literal meaning, this is about development. Development doesn't end. It is not about reaching the pinnacle of something. It is about wherever I am improving. And as the world develops further and improving even further. So Unnati is about the continuous improvement and development.
Very nice initiative, and I wish lot of unnati for your unnati initiative.
Thank you.
And if this industry is moving more towards, as we already discussed, electric and sustainable mobility, how is Lucas Indian Service adapting to these changes?
Well, I mean, see, as the industry moves, we need to move along, or in some cases, we need to move ahead as well. So we are primarily into the major areas of providing high quality, genuine spare parts to the industry, as well as providing service. So therefore, we are upgrading ourselves along with it. If electric vehicles become the dominant thing, so we will have the technology available to us in diagnosing, repairing, and providing the spare parts, and then disseminating the knowledge to the larger ecosystem as well. Or if hydrogen becomes feasible and becomes popular, then we'll be there as well. So we are kind of constantly moving along with the industry. In some cases, maybe a little ahead of the industry as well.
Nice. And if we see, like, these days industry is evolving, just not in the technology perspective, or not just in the electric mobility perspective. Everywhere we talk about people leadership, or employee first kind of leadership. So keeping in that thing into picture, as the industry standards everywhere are getting evolving everywhere, so how do you motivate your teams and maintain a culture of excellence in such a competitive environment where AI, Gen AI, and now propexity and everything is coming day by day? It is coming into picture. So the environment is getting more into that competitive mode. How do you motivate your teams?
Technological disruption is not new to the humankind. Okay, so the speed at which the change in technology is happening is faster than before. But if you really look at it, the first wheel was a technological invention. Okay, a round shaped thing which was able to move things faster. Even before that, the invention of fire was a technological invention. Okay, so from raw meat and raw vegetables and leaves, the human beings started eating cooked food. So that led to civilizations. And the wheel increased the speed of mobility. Okay, and then came the steam engine. Then came the fossil fuels and the fossil fuel fired engines, and now the electric mobility and things like that will happen. And somewhere in the 40s, late 40s, the computer happened. And I think the seeds of artificial intelligence was sown in the 50s itself. Okay, there was a lot of studies which were happening around algorithms and things like that were already existing, but the computing capacity and the telecom revolution has now brought AI to all of us. It is there in our palm. Okay, so the devices that we carry are computers by themselves. Okay, they have enormous amount of processing power, they have connectivity, and they have the speed. So we are able to do many things. So what the new tools do to us is it helps us to modify our thinking in solving the same problem. Okay,
True.
better, faster, more economical, and probably reaching out to more people, etc. So, therefore, the way I am looking at that is every generation, the generation before us thought that we were a smarter generation, and we definitely think the generation next to us are smarter generation. So, every generation comes with a certain amount of nativity of the technology that is in vogue. So the Gen Alpha today may be a born AI native generation. So they know intuitively how to use AI. So it'll be kind of a relearning for some of the older generation, maybe the Gen X, Gen Y, Gen Z, and others to learn how to adjust with others. The end of the day, all have to work together to produce the outcomes that benefit all. Okay, it is not about a generational war. I mean, we're not going to eliminate a complete generation and then dominate the world. So everybody has to coexist. So therefore, it's very, very important that we realize that we can't do anything on our own, and each generation thinks and acts in a particular way. particular way, basically because of the context in which we have grown. Like I said, fresh out of the dependence, the newly independent India, we were born and there were scarcities, wars, and shortages. We grew through that, and so our conditioning, our thinking will be in a particular direction. The next gen had a different context. The gen after that had a different context. So we need to understand the context and then adjust our dialogues with each other. So then it becomes more productive to each other. It's not about motivating or managing or leading a generation. It is about how do we actually lead ourselves to work well with all others.
True, very true. So basically, what I am getting is that even if the competitive environment we say each and every with each and every generation, we are already used to being in that competitive edge, and with that competitive edge as a team we have to conquer. Like everybody has to contribute as per their understanding and as per their learnings, and together then we can grow and together then we can transform things in such a digitally eruptive models everywhere. Very
Absolutely.
true.
Since we talked about sustainability, there is only one world. There is nothing else. I mean, at least as of now, we can't go and live in Moon, Mars, Saturn, Jupiter, anywhere else. Okay, so in this one Earth, if we have to preserve it and ensure that everybody is able to get what they need to get, I think then we'll be more responsible, and then we will be more willing to listen to each other at least. Okay, and then the understanding develops, and then we start leading ourselves together. So I think the paradigm of leadership, there is somebody in top and managing a whole lot of people down, is changing to there is a leaderless leadership. This is about a self-managed groups and organizations and societies. So maybe you can't just look up and for somebody to tell what to do anymore. I think we need to kind of look around and then say, okay, this is what we are going to do. What do you think? So let's do it.
True. I think that will also help each one of us to grow, right? If everything is being put in a plate and served, you will not be able to explore and you will not be able to be more inquisitive, and more growth will come. That comes as you have a little bit of hands and legs on your own. Then you learn more.
Absolutely.
So,
The curiosity, because that is the key. If I'm curious about something, I'll go learn. I am defined by my curiosity. Okay, so if when AI broke out, when the ChatGPT thing came up immediately after COVID and all that, I went around and then looked it up and then started playing around with that. So the way I learned spreadsheets was, oh, good old days. We used to have Lotus 123. Okay,
yeah.
and on an office machine, there was a Lotus 123 available. And I went and then looked at the menus and then started doing stuff on my own. And then within about 2, 3 days, I figured out formulae can be, keyed in, and then you can do a whole lot of things. And then similarly, we had something called WordStar, and then there was a DBase 3. And most of the things, it was kind of self-taught. Okay, so most of them were menu-driven. So you play around and you make some mistakes, and then I still remember there was a huge awe and applause in the office when I did a mail merge for sending. I'm talking about in the 80s. So mail merge for sending a whole lot of invitations or some greetings or some such thing. So today kids can do that, some better things than that, and without even going through any courses or anything. It's about curiosity and experiment. You fail and then you retry, do, learn, keep improving. That's it.
Many young professionals dream of leadership roles like you, right? Especially the ones who are in mid-level management. Like I'm also in mid-level. So, what qualities or habits do you believe are essential for success today? Like in today's industry norms, and because it is continuously evolving. So,
Yeah. See, the today's industry norm is there is no norm. Okay. So the first important quality for anybody who is in the middle management today is to know that we should know how to handle ambiguity. The tomorrow is extremely uncertain. So there is nothing what worked yesterday will not work tomorrow. today or tomorrow. Okay, what is working today may not work tomorrow. Tomorrow may be a completely different day. With I don't know, somebody changing tariff from 50% to 100% to 100% to 25% every day. You can imagine the tariff changes used to be happening over decades earlier. Now it is happening through Twitter in 10 minutes. Okay. And similarly, each country is becoming nationalistic, and then they want to protect their own industry, their own interest. So there are a lot of boundaries getting built. Okay. And then visas getting rejected, people are sent back home, and all that. So the world is kind of in a flux, and some wars happening all around, etc. So the ambiguity and volatility is going to come from any direction. That is point number one. Point number two, the competition is not from the next desk. The competition could be from a desk which is sitting in Philippines or Beijing or some other place, or even a non-human AI agent could be taking your job. Okay, if you are only doing tasks. Okay, so the managing ambiguity and having curiosity and continuously look around and sense what is changing and what will not change, and take a bet and start learning. And whatever is changing, if you can ride the wave ahead and reap the benefit. People who learned how to use AI effectively have done something fantastic and either earned a name or money or both for themselves. And third thing is, it is not always about money. Money is very, very important. Money, I'm not saying money is not important. Money is very important. It's not all about money. The skills, the ability to learn will give us the ability to earn. So if the middle managers today have to take a decision of the next job, it pays me more or it gives me more opportunity to learn, they should choose wisely. Okay. The other aspect is COVID taught all of us, okay, one important thing. Jahan hai to jahan hai. Stay alive and be healthy. Okay. So ignoring health and then going after some position or money is not worth.
Very true. What I get is 2 points very important. Uh, the eagerness to learn brings, paths to earn. And if चाहा है तो रहा है, right?
Yeah, well-being is absolutely important. Your curiosity can result in a good learning if you are healthy. You have the energy to go extra mile and learn something, and that will come only when the well-being is ensured and maintained.
Very, very important. I think each and every industry or organization is putting lot of influence or lot of eager eye on this aspect, where they are taking care of holistic well-being of their employees as well, which was not very much visible in, in generally in organizations. So if I talk about the trend which I see with LinkedIn post or social media, most of the organizations are bringing upon even one-to-one sessions or group sessions for their employees, just to understand their well-being in all the aspects, which is very important. And it is a very important aspect, we should not ignore it. Like growth and everything, or leadership role, everything falls in place if you are well. Very nicely said. All sort of well-being
Absolutely.
is very
See,
important.
at the end of the day, the leader with the right energy makes a huge difference compared to the leader with no energy. Okay.
Yeah.
So the change can happen only if you have the energy to change, and the energy comes. The energy is life energy. It's not about drinking 2 cans of Red Bull and then having some high. It's about the life energy, which is you are putting jaan laga ke. That's the exact term. So you are putting your life energy into what you are doing. Then you create something meaningful. To that to happen, you need to have physical energy, intellectual energy, and both are dependent on your psychological or mental well-being and energy. So if you're peaceful, if you are not distracted by any of the negative thoughts or depression or anything else. So then you are able to focus on things that you want to do, you can do, you will do. So it is very, very important. And coming to what you said about organizations doing it, organizations can do whatever they can do, but it is the individual's responsibility to be healthy.
Very true.
Okay, so because end of the day, it is our life, our health. Okay, so we are contributing to our health more than our organizations.
That's a very important point, and sometimes individuals often ignore that. You might have heard this term. It is very popular from last few years. Hustle, my hustle, my life, and out of that hustle, I have seen few people who are paying for per setting they are paying 10K, almost 10K, and they're not realizing that the more they're earning, the more they're spending on their mental well-being. So this psychological impact or the mental well-being is such an important aspect which controls your physical health, which controls your all sort of functioning. See, we studied, everybody studied, but implication is it comes hard sometimes, hard way sometimes.
We are created in a way that we require a certain amount of rest. Okay, sleep is a must. Okay, maybe somebody sleeps 8 hours, somebody sleeps 4 hours. The person sleeping 4 hours, if the person sleeps 4 hours of sound sleep, okay, if that gives recuperates him or her back to the energy level that is required to spend the next 20 hours, so that is fine. But if the body craves for 8 hours of sleep and somebody deprives it and sleeps only for 4 hours or even less, then you are actually diminishing your energy. You may think that you are actually extending your useful time available. Time is available, but you don't have energy to utilize the time effectively. Okay, this is one important dimension. Second is what we eat, we become. Okay, so we eat junk, we become junk. Okay, we eat healthy, we become healthy. So, choosing to have a balanced nutrition, you choosing to have the right kind of exercise. I'm not saying go and pump iron in the gym for 5 6 hours. But movement generally is considered as something which is good. So when I get stuck with some idea, I just walk around. Okay, so that triggers some energy, and especially if you can walk around outside, some nature is available, then it's even better. Fresh air, okay, and fresh water. I mean, many of us do not hydrate ourselves enough. Okay, they drink enough water through the day. So there's hustle culture. Okay, there is something called focused deep work. Okay, so there are a lot of research done, and Cal Newport has written a complete book on focus and deep work and all that. So it's not about how many hours you work, but it is about in every hour you work, what is the outcome you are able to create and how meaningful that is. So bringing meaning back to what we are doing. Okay, so if we, as Viktor Frankl said, if I'm very clear about why and I am very passionate about the why, I will find the how. Even
Hmm.
if I don't know how today, I will find the how and get it done. Okay, so these kind of things are possible only if we have the opportunity to connect with ourselves. So that connecting with ourselves require peace of mind, good health, and some rest. Okay, and a proper balanced nutrition. We can't be running. I mean, it's like let's say you have a car which has a tank capacity of 40 liters. Let's say it gives a fantastic mileage of 20 kilometers per liter. So, if you are going to run all the 800 kilometers without refueling, at the 800th kilometer, you are going to stop, right? So, if you are
True.
going to stop at the 400 kilometer and refuel, okay, so you not only take some rest and you have refuel, the car can continue to run. So this is something like yeah, we all know the classic golden goose story. Okay, one golden egg a day. I mean, Lalach mein you go cut the goose open, you still get the last egg, and after that the goose is not there. That's all gone. So that is Asil culture. We try to kill the goose to hoping that we'll get some tons of eggs, golden eggs, and it doesn't happen.
Very true. Very true. So it was really insightful conversation with you when we talked about leadership qualities and how do we, have some basic core leadership values and principles who can design us not just as a professional but as a person as well. So looking ahead, if I talk about you, what kind of impact do you hope to leave, both within your organization and in the wider industry?
See, the organization is like a stream in the forest, okay? It'll keep on flowing. That's how it's a like if you look at an accounting principle, we consider all businesses as a going concern, all companies as a going concern, which means which will outlast many of the people who would have worked for it. So in my own company, there are many people who before me have built this company because this company, when I joined this company, was 90 years old. It survived and thrived, which means some lot of people have contributed a lot of things. So I consider myself as from an organizational point of view, I'm a trustee. I've been entrusted with something for a period of time. So during that time, if I'm able to enhance the value and I leave the place better than how I found it, then I have done some job. Okay, so that is one level of the lowest level of legacy. The second thing is I would rather like to be remembered as somebody who touched many lives in a some small meaningful way. Nobody is going to care about what the last designation I carried and how much of bank balance I had or what kind of house I lived in or what kind of car I moved around. So nobody is at what kind of clothes I wore, etc. So it's about if I can leave some memorable, useful memories for people. That's the legacy.
Wonderful, wonderful thought process you have, because these small acts of kindness and and small acts of uplifting others, these are often not considered pretty well or acknowledged pretty well in a society which is bound to think like that. If you have a certain amount of money and certain amount of power, only then you have attained something in your life. And yeah,
Absolutely.
I understand growth should be there, but along with that growth, if you have that sort of values inculcated in yourself and imbibed in your soul, definitely it is going to leave a lasting impression as a legacy when you move forward in your life. The lives you might have touched in your organization, or many people like me who came across this life journey with you, and you left a very good impression, a very lasting legacy impression on us. So this is something, I mean, that's a wonderful thought.
In fact, I go by two principles. If you should sleep well, the moment you go to sleep, you should fall asleep. Okay, and similarly, that is possible only if for the day you have done an honest day's work and you have not hurt anybody. Okay, otherwise it will come back and haunt you. I mean, when I say not hurt anybody, this is something like deliberately putting people down or diminishing their value, etc. It will come back and haunt you with the everybody, even the coldest of the hearts will have some amount of conscience. Something questions you at the end of the day. And similarly, at the end of life, one should not suffer. Sala gira mara. That's what.
Wonderful.
That that's not in anybody's hand. So that for that to happen, you probably will have to continue to do some good deeds.
That's an amazing takeaway for me and whosoever is watching this talk show. And thank you so much, Raghavan sir, for joining us. And I'm highly thankful for you to be part of it and sharing so many valuable insights and wonderful last message which you shared, that being a human requires that sort of human values and principles as well. But I get it, and definitely it will help our viewers also to understand it's good to make progress in life. It's good to be part of hustle culture, but not at the risk of your mental well-being. And yes, definitely you should focus more on having a lasting legacy impression on others, where you touch lives by being yourself and by uplifting others. Thank you for watching this video, and sayonara until we meet and talk again. Thank you.
Thank you.